This is Ioriwase Profiles, brought to you by Rutland Bait Shop. I'm your host, Abigail Jacobs. This episode features Rutherford Leclaire, a Kahnawake and Mi'kmaq actor, writer, and comedian who talks to us about moving to New York, his recent project with NBC, and I break the news to him that Macomber's store has closed. Rutland Bait Shop, your one-stop shop for all your fishing needs, bait, tackle, and fishing tours with Ben Green and collaborations with Joe Flo's Muskie Tackle. Don't forget about their gear rentals and tournaments. Rutland Bait Shop, located at the Kahnawake Marina, open 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. daily. Like them on Facebook for all your fishing needs. Today we're talking with Rutherford Leclaire, as I have grown up knowing him here in Kahnawake as Gordon. What do you prefer to go by?
Right now, I'm going by Tai, and when I'm in town, it's Gord. So I do not have a preference. Let's go with Tai for now, I guess.
All right, and Insta handle and all this, it's all under Tai, right? That's how everybody across the globe now knows you.
The interwebs, the wikis, the Googles, the whole band.
There you go. So for those who don't know you by name, we have an important community question. Who's your mother? Who's your father? Who's your family?
Holy. My father's Keith Leclaire. I feel like he knows literally everyone. You've seen him at, the market. You've seen him at the bank. I know you've seen him because he's talked to you for 5 minutes every time he's seen you. And my estat is Jackie Leclaire. She's the principal at KSS. KSS represent. Yeah, some good folks.
For sure.
Good folks.
So now for those who are like, who was that person? Oh, it's Jackie's boy. Oh, yes.
Exactly.
Keith's son. So
I literally got that like a week ago. And I was like, oh, yeah, I'm Keith's son. Hi.
You grew up, though, here in Kahnawake, a KSS graduate.
That's right.
Eventually made your way out now to New York City.
I think you missed a big one, though, that the listeners need to know that we were each other's prom dates.
Oh, of course. Yes. A KSS graduate, I know because I was at your prom. Thank you for inviting me. And I returned the favor, got you to come out to my prom. And
that's fantastic.
So we are quite old friends. And that's why I'm so thankful for you doing our first episode with me. And so then eventually, after partying it up together, you made your way out to New York City for university. How was the change from small town, big city? How'd you find the transition?
Yeah, well, I got a taste of it I lived in Montreal for 6 months when I was at Dawson. I was just hungry to try a little city thing for a little bit. But the change to New York was surprisingly easy. First of all, everyone speaks English. So it was like, didn't have to deal with, French. No disrespect. But it was good. And the benefit of going to school here was that I was able to build a community pretty quickly. Made a nice group of friends. I wouldn't, change it for anything. Maybe the tuition price. But yeah, it was a really good time. And I was grateful to have that group with me. And once outside of college professionally, having that community to watch them grow at the same time. And, through that is where I sort of started dipping my toes into comedy and acting. And because, we acted together actually before
oh my
at
goodness.
Turtle Island Theater.
That is true. I actually did forget about that. But no, that's true. You were the star of The Grinch.
I was. Hey, it was hashtag highlight of my life. It was. Who did you play again? You weren't Cindy, were you?
No. I wasn't Cindy. I played, I was some kind of sexy mama who loved the Grinch. We were always destined to cross paths, you and me.
I don't know if the character description was sexy mama, but who knows?
That's how I played her.
Who knows? The sassy 6th grade act.
So when you went out to New York now, this is where I'm very interested in, because you went out for university and you were in graphic design, graphic media and things.
Yep.
And then
Yep.
somewhere
Yep.
along the way, your comedic genius just came out and you were like, no, you know what? I'm doing comedy. Like, what happened? How did you get there?
I've always had, the bug to like try the thing. But when I got my first job, one of my coworkers was a performer at UCB Theater in New York, which is Upright Citizens Brigade Theater. It's a theater founded by Amy Poehler, along with 3 other prominent comedians.
Yes.
It's a very well-known, was well-known. It recently closed down.
Oh my gosh.
But they're alive in LA. So they shut down in New York. But it was a very, I don't want to say like the institution theater that is in New York for comedy, but it was very much one of the senior places to go. So after seeing her do improv and comedy, I was like, oh, I could do this on a Tuesday night. This is a good time. So yeah, I started around 2013, 2014, really, which is literally like a year after I graduated, just trying out the scene. So, I'd go to work during the day, do my 9 to 5, and then there's the 5 to 9, doing stand-up mics, doing sketch shows, doing character bits, really trying to like ingrain my claws into the comedy scene here, and really finding my group too, because like the comedy scene in New York is very like, if you're a stand-up, you're like an angry straight white dude, right? And I was like, I don't know about that.
Right.
At least like the circles that were there. So eventually I was very fortunate that I found like the LGBTQ mics,
Yes.
the inclusive rights, the POC mics, where I was like, oh, these are comedians that get me, understand me, and have other interesting stories to tell.
Yes.
So yeah, I made my way up there. Eventually I got into a house team at UCB after auditioning, I think 5 times. Because you can audition twice a year.
Okay.
Because it's the only time they open up auditions. So in year 2.5 was the time I finally, like, after trying, got into a team. And the house team I was on was called Characters Welcome, which is a character showcase. So it's like a character monologue where you perform your own characters. And you do a fresh new one every month. It's very like, someone described it sort of like the theater shows. It's like SNL, but instead of a weekend, you have a month.
Nice.
So it's like you have time to really like explore the things, and like sometimes they're great and sometimes they're terrible. I did a lot of terribles.
You got to.
But you got to do the terribles to get to the goods.
Exactly.
So like my favorite characters when I share a lot is the Native American shaman character, who plays on the old Hollywood tropes of,
Yes!
the poltergeist, Indian burial ground, but, making the ghost white. And it says live, laugh, love, and blood. It's like, it's really fun to take those things and turn it around and also be a voice. I had this other character that I'm still working on that is like the Sacagawea dollar, like not Sacagawea, but the Sacagawea dollar. And like her being jealous of Harriet Tubman being a $20 bill and she's like relegated to $1. But I'm still like, I don't know what to do with that one yet. So I'm playing around. I have the costume. I mean, half the thing is like half the fun's making the costume.
Okay.
We're strong Halloween kids, I want to say. Theater background, we like spooky things, and half of that is, making the stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm grateful for our horror, goth, scary backgrounds, because it led to other things.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. I mean, being out in the city, and there is, there's a lot of movement right now to say like, we need more inclusion and we need more representation. Yep. So you, as you mentioned, you found some different community pieces out there with First Native, with people of color, with LGBTQ. Mm-hmm. So do you find the tides are more changing to a strength in those communities? Like, are you finding some good reception there with?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, an institution always takes a minute to change because like you have everyone at the top who have been there and always been there. Now their sons work there, et cetera, et cetera. So it's like, I'm excited to get more representation at levels like that. Which is happening. It's just a little bit slower, but like without jumping too far ahead, but like Rutherford Falls, which I'm a writer and actor on right now.
Yes.
Very light actor, only 1 episode, but we're loving it. It in terms of like, because like you have Native media in Canada, which is like, it exists. Like that is like huge. And in the States, it's a little bit slower. Like we were always saying, like the States is like 1970s right now in terms of like native media. Like it's like, oh, we're right there. We're so close.
Wow.
Yeah, but the show, we have half the writers are native, which is the most staffed native people that were ever on a show. It's the most native coworkers I've ever had outside of working in Kahnawake. And the best part is it's like we're not, all the same. So it's like we have people from reservations in California. We have like urban natives from Arizona, Lakota. It's really like calling us like we were sort of like these like Power Rangers of like native fart jokes, so it was like everyone has their like strength and their thing and their costume. And yeah,
that's amazing.
Coming together.
So how did you get your foot in with this group? How did you get the hookup now? Because Rutherford Falls is premiering April 22nd. You started working on this back, like how long ago was this now that you met with this group?
Yeah. So this started in the fall of 2019. I quit my full-time job in July to really focus on comedy. I was like, I'm going to do this. I saved up enough money for a couple months. And a friend of mine put up a show in LA at UCB West because I put up the first native show at UCB on the East Coast. And I'm very proud of that. It was called Thanks But No Thanksgiving. And it was a variety, dumb native bits. Like I had a character where I was like, your bad roommate, Christopher Columbus. And he's just like, not a nice guy.
And this came out the same, because it was Thanksgiving weekend. And that was the same time when SNL did their skit with Will Ferrell.
The day after our show, that happened. And I was like, what are you doing? Like, what is like, at least we got a sold out basement in Brooklyn. Like, I'm like, that's like, we're getting closer to 30 Rock, but so I did that show and he did this very similar show out west and he invited me to come and perform at the show, which I did.
Wait, who invited you?
Another performer out west.
Okay, yes, you're from the Upright Citizens Brigade. Okay.
From UCB on the west side. Yeah. So a group of them organized a similar show. And I was like, yeah, do I want to go to LA for a weekend? Like, yeah, of course I do. Like, what's wrong with you? So I went up to the show, did the show, and I got a DM on Twitter the next day from my now boss, who was just like, hey, saw you at the show last night. Do you have any pilot samples you could send over? And by coincidence, I did because I applied to something like a month earlier. So I had a Bob's Burger spec.
Okay.
So like a spec script is like an imaginative script of an existing show.
Yes.
So Bob's Burgers, it's something I enjoy. And I was like, this is something I very much like. I know the show. I know the characters. Let me write this thing. Sent that over and also sent over this concept web series pilot I shot the same year. So it's like I had the elements in my back pocket. So I was very fortunate enough to have that. And then from there, got the job interview. I met with Sierra and I met with Ed. I did not meet with Mike in my interviews, but they sent good interviews. Mike Schur, who created The Good Place, Parks and Recreation, was on The Office. He's truly he's NBC.
Yes.
And he's also great. He's a great guy. So yeah, I, from that, got the job and went out in January of 2020 to start, the writing process, which is like a 20-week process, which was cut in half because coronavirus happened. Oh my gosh. So we were supposed to be 20 weeks in person, and then you start shooting the thing around week 15.
Okay.
And that just didn't happen. So we kept the room together for 10 weeks and then little hiatus. And then we came back together, fortunately, in the fall to continue writing. So the majority of the year of 2020 was truly writing, working for the show, and then luckily getting a small part on it, which I went to shoot in December of last year.
Okay.
So yeah, it was a full. It's amazing what they were able to do despite a pandemic, really.
Exactly. So now, you said that you guys were all together. You had the 10 weeks, But then in between then, I mean, were you still like, okay, no, we're still working on this. Like you're working from home. You guys are Zooming and all this kind of stuff. Or was it just dead silent? Like, we don't know what's happening. What was the...
No, we kept working.
Good.
We very much kept working. We were fortunate enough to, because we were already 10 weeks in at that point, a couple of scripts are written at that point. The idea of where the season's going to go is done.
Cool.
It was nice to be able to also like build those relationships in person for the first 10 weeks. And then, we were on Zoom every day for a couple hours, which I guess it's the routine for everyone now. It was, it was fine. It was like, I really wish, I didn't think like everyone else, like COVID was going to last this long. So like I left my rental car in a parking lot. So I was like, I'll be right back. Like, I'm going to fly out to my, Brooklyn apartment and I'll be right back. No, my friend, I have a very good friend, though, that was able to go get the car and return it on my behalf.
Oh, okay. That's good. I'm like, is it still just sitting there? Did you get that?
Yeah. It's quite a bill.
Cool. So now we are so close to the premiere of Rutherford Falls. And you said you even have what kind of episode are we looking out for you? Where can we see you on Rutherford Falls?
One of the later episodes, I will say, is one of the final, towards the end. And I was fortunate enough to be able to co-write an episode, which is also one of the episodes towards the end. I think that's as much as I can say without, getting in too much trouble. NBC, I love you. Please don't do anything to me. I actually have the Canadian information now.
Perfect.
Which I'm excited about. I know it's going to be on Showcase. I have to go to Michael Greyeyes' Twitter because he's like,
and
he is on it.
That's the hard thing too, right? Because and you're obviously based out of the States, NBC, and it's streaming on Peacock TV.
Peacock, yeah.
And
in Canada, it's going to be on Showcase Live and on demand with Stack TV and the Global TV app. And on April 29th, I believe Global is having a special presentation of the pilot at 8 p.m. Eastern.
Nice.
So April 29th.
April 29th. Everybody mark your calendar. So for those who haven't gotten to see, we'll probably post up some kind of little link to your preview and all that for it. So what is the basis for Rutherford Falls, starring Ed Helms and Michael Greyeyes and working with all of these great native writers? What is going on in Rutherford Falls?
Yeah, so Rutherford Falls, it's a comedy about two lifelong best friends, Nathan Rutherford, played by Ed Helms, and Regan Wells, played by Janice Schmeeding, who's actually another writer on our show. We carpooled together the first week. So I'm so she's amazing. She's good people. But the show it revolves around them at a crossroads, literally like when their town gets an unexpected wake-up call. So like I said, the show stars Ed Helms from The Office and The Hangover, Janice Schmeeding, Michael Greyeyes, and Michael Greyeyes has huge anti-following. Huge anti-energy. Nothing but respect for him.
Especially the Kahnawake antis. He was here shooting Blood Quantum. So he's got some Kahnawake antis there.
Anywhere that man goes, he's got a fan club. And rightfully so, because he's a phenomenal actor, a great guy. Like, it's upsetting, like, how good he is. That's how I keep, coming back to it. But also on the show, we also have Jesse Lee, who was on the TV show Heathers, and we also have Dustin Milligan from Schitt's Creek.
Cool.
Dustin, I found out, is from Yellowknife. No idea. Little trivia there.
Cool.
But yeah, more about the show. So, Nathan Rutherford, Ed Helms' character, is a descendant from the town's founder. He takes pride in his family a little too much. Regan is her best friend. She has dreams, of championing her own people. What else can I say? I have so many points I want to take out.
And how much are you actually allowed to say without giving away too much? But I am a big comedy fan, big Ed Helms fan. So I was so excited when I got to see that you were working on this. And I know, like you said, with the writing team and with the production team, it's going to be funny. It's going to be great. And that's huge that I'm so proud of you and so happy for you that you've gotten this break to work with this great team and with NBC and Peacock TV. So we're all going to be setting our calendars and ready to look for that once it comes out for Canada, April 29th.
Correct. Yeah.
Perfect. And so now we've caught you in the middle of a very big time, a very stressful, crazy time, making the move now. Not only did you go from Kahnawake to New York, now you're New York, East Coast to West Coast, all the way to Los Angeles.
Sunny Los Angeles. I am a West Coaster now. I'm quoting the Californian sketch from SNL like it is no one else's business.
So what?
Yeah, just made the move.
Yeah, what prompted the move?
The move. It was really, I just wanted to try it. I was like, now there's no time better than now to do this. I'm trying to think of great things, but like, don't have kids yet. Don't have the full thing yet. I was like, we still have a good year or two where I was like, let's just do this right now.
Hell yeah.
Let's do this right now. Also, being in the pandemic, really sort of, I had time to sit and reevaluate things of like what we want to try after this. So yeah, here we are. It is day 4 here. I want to say day 4 sounds right.
Cool. How was the move? And I mean, I wonder if that changes things being pandemic and you have to move all your stuff and like, I mean, at least you're still going like within the States, but was it like a big extra rigmarole or is it just the regular stress of you're going across the country?
Yeah. I mean, I've traveled a couple times so far in the pandemic via plane. So I've sort of gotten the routine. I do the double mask. I'm now vaccinated. I'm not fully vaccinated, so I'm very grateful for that. Not that I'm like, kissing strangers, but like I feel a little more secure knowing that I will not be hospitalized due to COVID. The most stressful part was traveling with our cat.
Really?
On a plane. Yeah, because cats are their own things. They're set in their ways, and we just, my fiance and I, we didn't want to be the people on the plane that were like, hi, we're the people with the loud cat. Like, sorry.
The box just like jumping around. Like,
yeah. And the cat was great. The cat was fine until we got to our new apartment. Then he went bananas. That's when he went crazy. I was like, okay, you're going crazy at home. I'm fine with that. Yeah, this is also this apartment. Like, we got this apartment over FaceTime. Like, our first time seeing it was stepping through the front door.
Holy cow.
With our luggage. So it was a bit of a gamble. The gamble paid off though, because it's like
nice.
It feels pretty good. I mean, once you've lived in a shoebox in New York for 12 years, you're very much like everything is like the Taj Mahal,
So what, can I ask, like, what area are you guys in? Like, what is your LA vibe? Where are you?
Yeah, we are two things, funny enough. We are in a building that is directly next to a building I was subletting in last year.
Oh, okay. Nice.
So I know the neighborhood good. And the neighborhood we're in is called East Hollywood, on the border of Silver Lake. So I see Silver Lake from my window. And it's a good central location for me because I'm like, I know that I've only lived here for 10 weeks before. And that was a part-time living situation. So I still don't really know the city that well. But this is a good central hub for, see what's out there. And, I still got to get a car. So that's going to be something to look into. But yeah, this is a car city for sure.
Exciting. So now you say that it's stressful with your cat. And then, you were looking though forward to what's the next step going to be. And you mentioned in there, how was it for your fiance? Congratulations, by the way. I mean,
thank you.
I haven't gotten to say to you personally, except for little tags and emoticons or whatever on Facebook. But how was that for you and your fiance to have to make this decision together? How does he feel about LA?
He's good. I mean, we're both East Coasters through and through. He's, Bronx Italian, Westchester, has never left New York. He was fortunate enough, though, to get his office has an office here.
Okay.
And they did a full relocation.
Oh.
So it wasn't, no one had to quit jobs or anything like that, which is really great. He's currently working on our mattress box in the other room. That's the life. But no, we've been fortunate enough that like, this wasn't something we're like, let's go tomorrow. You know, it was something like, do you want to go in maybe 2 years? What's your window? Like, what's your calendar looking like? It was something that was very much discussed, and grateful for it. And I think we're both just excited for a little bit of change, a little bit of scenery. And like I said, because like being in that tiny apartment for a year really was like, okay, I'm hungry to go somewhere else.
Good. I'm so happy for you. That's really awesome that you guys, like, I mean, and that's an important thing in a relationship, to be able to be on the same page and have the same ideals, and like you guys to be able to make this move together is huge.
Gosh, I remember growing up and people being like, you just gotta talk. And being an adult being like, oh yeah, this isn't complicated. You just gotta talk about these things.
No, but I mean, just from my own experience, like, I mean, you get in a relationship and you're like, to actually talk to your partner is, you end up forgetting that you're supposed to do that. And
I distinctly remember the first time I did do that. I was like, oh, I'm an adult. Like, I read books. This is phenomenal. This is like, I feel so comfortable right now. This is a new way of living. The sky has parted.
And then, you actually talk to your significant other and you're like, holy crap, that worked. Like, look at how great that was. I got to do this more often.
It's shocking. It really is shocking.
So your fiance, Dominic.
Yeah.
We kind of touched on it before, and you also mentioned we went to prom together. We were each other's prom dates when you were living in Kahnawake growing up. And I feel so weird talking about it because I guess, I don't know, I don't want to like say the wrong thing, but how did you come to your truth, you know, because knowing you as a teenager, I don't know, you were just gored and nobody ever talks about what your sexual orientation or anything like that is. And I feel like in town, in Kahnawake and small towns, we've come a long way now to knowing the LGBTQ, the orientations and the different things. And like we have teenagers who are trans in Kahnawake and living openly and all these kind of things. How did it feel for you growing up and coming to your truth?
Yeah, I think you sort of summed it up in the beginning where I'm like, I've always just been gored. And like, and it's always like, I am still that today.
Yeah.
That sort of aspect hasn't really changed because that part of my life wasn't something I was really focused on when I was a teenager. Yeah. You know, growing up, going to high school in the res, going back home. And like, the only thing I was caring about was like being in the coolest band, you know, like that was like, that's where my interest started and stopped. So I think it just really came from just exploring the world a little bit. You know, I was fortunate enough I went to Dawson for 3 years, and that was a great place to start being like, oh, I need to start like, I don't need to, but like I wanted to start developing groups of friends outside of like my Kahnawake friends. I want to start like, so I joined like this club called Etc. at Dawson. I don't know if it's still there, but it's the LGBTQ club. Dawson was such a great resource for that because they have different groups for like, you know, the Greek club, the nerd club, and stuff like that. So it was like it was a nice, Stage Up was a great place to like dip my toes in the water of like just meeting other people was really like, I think the key to sort of like helping figure myself out a little bit more. And like, hey, I'm still working on it. Yeah. So I think that was it. And just like, again, like it was wanting to be in the coolest band. Then it was like wanting to be the best photographer. Then it was like wanting to be the best graphic designer. And it was always these like weird career things that were fizzling at the top and then just like gourd underneath, flowing, like riding the wave, I guess.
That's awesome. I absolutely love that sentiment because like right now I have teenage nieces and nephews and like they're in high school and they have friends who are like they're in grade 7 and they're like, I'm bi and they're giving each other titles. And I'm like, guys, don't even like, don't even worry don't title yourself. Don't worry about that stuff. And exactly that. Focus on the kinds of things that you are as a person. And I absolutely love that. Like, focus on, being in best, your best athlete or your coolest band or whatever. You were in a pretty damn cool band.
I was in a pretty cool band. I will say. I still have my upright bass.
Yeah.
It's parked in my parents' basement because you have to park it like a car. It is, God, that was a good time.
Yeah.
That was such a good time.
The Cryptics. You guys were awesome.
The Cryptics. My dad recently reminded me that we once played the Hard Rock in Montreal, and I was like, did we? Because I'm pretty sure, we didn't.
Wait, there was even a Hard Rock in Montreal?
That's why I was like, was there? This was peak 2004
nice.
Or something like that. Really dating ourselves, because 2004 is almost 20 years ago now, so it's horrifying. The days of MySpace,
Yeah.
Top 8.
I'm pretty sure
you were probably on my top 8.
Yeah, no. I had the Cryptics at least in my top 8 for sure. And but yeah, so do you still? I mean, you said your upright bass is at home. Are you still playing music? Are you still? What are you listening to right now?
Yeah, I'm very much still music obsessed, which is kind of the reason I'm really excited to start driving more, because the most music experience I get in New York is my AirPods, and can use now to just hear my music again with bass. I know this doesn't sound extraordinary, but just to hear music with, I was like, oh my God, there's these whole other layers underneath this song that I haven't heard in so long. I'm very much still a music nerd. The things I'm listening to now are kind of all over the place. I mean, it's still shuffled in with that that new metal that I was very much obsessed with growing up. So there's a Cold Chamber song in there. There's there's a Perfect Circle hanging out in there.
Oh, always.
Always. But now it's there's also Tame Impala. There's some other I hate this word so much, but it's a vibe jams. I don't know. It's that weird chilly I don't have a word for it.
No,
it's all over the place.
Yeah, you got to go where the flow takes you. I have become accustomed to Spotify mornings with breakfast. And I'm I'm going to do some Thelonious Monk jazz. Or the next day, I'm I want to be in a 50s diner. And that's the beauty of the access to all the music that we can get. So I feel you. Don't worry.
I will say my favorite album of the last decade is Pleasure by Feist. Hands down, highly recommend. It's just an incredible album, start to finish. And let's do it in order. It's in order for a reason, I feel like.
Cool.
That's my one aggressive stance.
Oh, no. I will always take your advice on music. I love your musical choices, so I'm going to go and download that next for sure.
It's a very unaggressive album as well.
Okay.
So it's an aggressive stance on an unaggressive thing.
Yeah. So now we talked about who your family is, and you mentioned that your mom, Jackie Leclaire, she's the current KSS principal. When you were in high school, was your mom was working there as well?
Yeah, my mom was my teacher in the 7th and 8th grade for math and science.
Oh my.
And, it's one of those things everyone's that must have been awful. And so I'm our school was so small that it's there's no way I wouldn't have interacted, seen, or hung out or with my mom at that one point.
Yeah.
But it's great. I mean, I never took the school bus in the morning because she drove to work. So I was this is a benefit on my end.
Yeah. Good. Cool. Do you think that it had any effect on you ending up being a spooky kid, as you coined yourself? Oh God, my mom's in my high school. Do you still have the eyeliner skills?
Oh, for sure. For sure. But I don't think that my mom being there had an effect on that. I think the goth time, the music times was very much just that teenage creative expression. And it was the exact opposite where my parents were very, very supportive of it. To the point, I don't know if you remember that store Cruella.
Oh, we talk about it all the time still. I'm okay. I so wanted their coffin in Cruella.
But my mom, I feel like she knew the entire staff there and would go Christmas shopping there and things like that. In the classic mom, the weird mom supportive sense. And it was very delightful. The store also is still open, and now it's a rockabilly kind of place.
Ooh.
highly recommend checking it out.
Definitely, yes. Oh yeah, that's oh God, what is you go up, what's the main street? Where's Cruella? I want to say
I think it's Mount Royal and oh my gosh, I want to say
it's like down near Saint Denis.
Centerbank.
Yeah.
I think it's a little more. I think it's more a little west, closer to the mountain.
Okay.
I'm trying to get my Montreal geography head on.
You have too many maps in your head because you bounce all over the place.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm like, I know the sun has risen over there. I'm pointing to my right. So that's my only reference where I am right now.
Yeah. Awesome. I think I'm really glad we got to talk with you, and we covered all of your new project things. Now you're over in LA, and is there anything project-wise that you're looking forward to kind of go after while you're out there now? What do you have your sights set on while you're in LA?
Yeah. I mean, I'm definitely going to try and do more acting. I mean, comedic performing is my favorite thing to do. I mean, I landed and immediately, because my location changed, my managers were like, "Hi, we have these 2 auditions. You have to do them right now." I'm
my God.
Cool. I haven't slept in 2 days. Great. I hope you're ready for this because it's not going to be good. But no, we wound up pulling it out. I had a friend help me. That's what's also great about being here too, is other people doing the same thing. So my friend Jenna Schmeeding, who's actually the lead in the show, was very nice enough to do my line reading with me for one of these auditions.
Awesome.
It's very much we help everyone. You have to build your community in whatever sort of field you do. And I really feel like we have a nice, strong building native community here in LA. Yeah, I remember when she was auditioning for Rutherford, I was like, "I'll get your headshots. Go do your thing." And then and now she's like, "Come with my line." So it's very much about helping lift each other up wherever we can.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I forget where I was going with this completely because I'm going to blame it on jet lag. I'm just going to blame it on jet lag.
And I mean, you brought up an interesting point though, because now that you're in LA and you have this community of support and everything, and I wonder because at least in New York, we have people from back home who travel to New York regularly. I don't know if you got to run into iron workers or I know I had introduced you, my brother lives in New York, and you guys got to. So there's always a piece of home when you're there. But now being out in LA, I don't know how much you're going to run into any Guanajuato, but you're building this community of other native actors and all these different things. And that's very cool. I wonder if you're going to run into any of those doppelgangers. Have you met town doppelgangers yet?
Oh my gosh. I will say living in LA, it's very, it's obviously a much more Latino city, and just being here, I was like, I'm not the only brown one. I was very much living in New York. The first time I came here, I was like, oh, there's so many natives here. I was like, oh wait, no, this is just take off your res hat. There are other people that are not native who happen to be brown. This is very much but I was very excited to be in this community of color that I didn't fully experience within New York, because New York's so compartmentalized. Where here, it's just a little bit more, I don't say blended, but just it's a good group. And I really feel like the native community here, like I said, is building, and we're going to hopefully eventually have a guest room, and I'll be like, anyone from town, come on by.
Yeah.
Not really. Please don't visit me now yet. I don't have a couch.
We only have a mattress box and some lawn chairs.
Mattress box and lawn chairs. We did buy underlighting for our cabinets. Doesn't count as furniture, but it was something to do. I might buy a plant today.
Ooh.
I'm using, here, I'll show you. This is my nightstand right now.
Oh, is that your fax machine printer?
Yeah. No, I need a printer. I threw mine out. There's so many things in the move. Once the truck was gone in New York, we were throw it out. Throw it out.
Good job, Mary Kondo.
Cake. Throw it out. Totally, but now I'm terrified to get all of our stuff and be like, why do I have all these things? We will see.
Cool. Well, I hope your things arrive soon and have a nice settling and all kinds of good things in LA. Thank you so much for circling back. Is there anything that you wanted to say to anybody at home, anybody who's listening right now on your Ioriwase podcast?
Yeah, I miss everyone. I will be bothering everyone when there's a powwow of it again, eventually. Who knows when that's going to be. And I'm so grateful. My parents are vaccinated. My family's vaccinated. I'm vaccinated. So I'm just very much I'm coming back to town. The second I can get a free weekend or something like that.
Yeah.
and just walk. Honestly, I just want to walk around town. Like, it's like not complicated. I just want to like walk to like Macumbers or something and like that's it.
You can't even walk to Macumbers anymore. Macumbers closed down.
What?
Yep. From COVID and everything. And they were just like, you know what? We're just going to stay closed. And they're taking the time for their family. So Macumbers is closed now. So you can't walk there.
I blame Michelle Latimer. It's always Michelle Latimer. It's just like my go-to for everything right now. I blame her. She did this.
There you go. Just before we sign off, with all of your experiences and, getting out there and like you said, you ended up saving up and quitting your job and just going for it. Mm-hmm. What's any kind of advice that you have for somebody who's looking to not even just get into the industry, but maybe, you completely changed your career path and you completely moved away from home. Is there anything to another little Gordon Leclaire, another little Diazaruzade who's sitting here in Kahnawake or his own small town dreaming about it?
Yeah. It's going to sound so lame, but I always say like you have to do the homework. You just have to do the research. You have to do the steps because when an opportunity presents itself, you don't want to be empty-handed, So if you like TV writing, if you like acting, do as much research as you can. Talk to people who you know. Reach out to people who you don't know. It's truly about just being prepared in any way possible. And also just don't be mean. No one likes mean people.
That's awesome. That's very good advice. And one last question. Do you have, now that you got your vaccine last week?
Yes.
And now that we're closer to the end of this, hopefully end of this pandemic lifestyle, what is your first bucket list item for your COVID-free life?
The movies. I'm going back to the movie theater. I'm sort of planning out like when I'm going to go. Because I was fortunate enough to get the single dose vaccine, the Johnson & Johnson in the States. So I'm like timing it out. I'm like, okay, 15 days is super good. 30 days is even better. So after that, I'm still going to wear a mask. I'm still going to be masked. But I just I cannot wait to be in a movie theater again. So that's my number one right now.
And one day, hopefully, we'll be seeing you in the movies or writing for the movies.
I'll take both.
All right.
I'll take either. I'll take whatever I can get. Watch Rutherford Falls. It'll be out on April 22nd in the States. I believe April 29th on Showcase in Canada. Check out the show.
Thanks, Gord.
Thank you so much. This was so great. Congrats on the podcast. This is so exciting. I love it.
Thank you for listening. I'm Abigail Jacobs with Ioriwase Profiles, brought to you by Reelaman Bait Shop, your one-stop shop for all your fishing needs, bait, tackle, and fishing tours with Ben Green, and collaborations with Joe Flo's Musky Tackle. Don't forget about their gear rentals and tournaments. Reelaman Bait Shop, located at the Kahnawake Marina, open 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. daily. Like them on Facebook for all your fishing needs. Ioriwase would like to thank the Community Media Strategic Support Fund for supporting this initiative.